what I wanted to do was bring this something, right, from my family to the world, right, or to the communities, whatever it is. Ensure that, and by sharing this, we continue to grow and grow and grow. So by other people wearing it, they're saying they're giving this and that, right? Like one of our biggest things now that we have are wedding orders. You know, friends or friends of friends or families, they're asking us, oh, would you be able to design this and that for my wedding? People still want that, right? Because there's not many people out there who can sew. There's not many people who can tailor. But I guarantee you that if you're going to a wedding, like you said, you want an African outfit for when you go to these things, right? You've already put in that in your mind. Now you're thinking, oh, I really want this. Oh, this person does this. This person customizes. Okay, they're taking their time. All right, let me support this. Let me see how it goes. So you're just going to follow that curiosity. So that's where our growth will come from.
Welcome to another episode of the Pepper Soup Talk Show, where we bring in shakers and movers and diasporas. And today we have a very special guest with us, Jake Mulinge. Which last name is, how do you pronounce it?
Mulinge.
Jake Mulinge, who, you know, is out there just telling stories, and we all have a different way of telling stories, and stories are very, very powerful too. So Jake is able to really tell his story through fashions and design. So with no further ado, Jake Mulinge, welcome to the Pepper Soup Talk Show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Good, good. And we're just going to jump right in. So Jake, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you come from.
All right. So going by the last name, I am Kenyan, born and raised, came to the States when I was about 12 years old. Lived in North Jersey, you know, where you have the different styles in New York, and then moved to Philadelphia, where I played soccer for St. Joseph's University, and I've been here ever since.
Okay.
So
great. That's awesome. So you spend a lot of time like in the state, you know, Toby, I'm originally from Guinea, West Africa. And just like you, I sort of like spent most of my time here. Came to the US when I was very young, went to high school here, college. So it sounds like same experience for Toby as well.
I was dumb young. I came when I was 4.
So you know, it's just
OG.
Exactly. So it just sounds to me like, you know, us kind of being like, you know, we still born in the motherland, but we spend most of our childhood and experience here in the US, and that sort of like tend to impact how we view ourselves. So how do you think your experience have shaped who you are so far in the state, and how does that sort of like influence the work that you do right now before we even get into your company?
So I guess one of the things that's completely different between Africa or even Kenya and the US is that, you know, there's such a work hard mentality here that, you know, when you start something, you always think, okay, whatever I start, I can get it, you know. It's like that American dream kind of thing where it's like you start something, people are like, oh, you can do it, just keep pushing on to your dreams, and it's that sells you towards whatever you're doing. So whether it's like, you know, becoming a soccer player in the States or, you know, owning your own company, that's that drive. That's what I think kind of defined me when I came here, and I noticed people were just always grinding, and you have so many different immigrant families coming in and different flavors all coming together just to make something for their families. So that was always a driving force and something that I took being in the States.
Wow, that's just so interesting. So like, it's definitely this sort of expectation from like your parents, bringing you to this country. There's this idea like, you know, choose like this traditional way of becoming a doctor, engineer. No offense to you, Toby. Like, you know, software engineer. So, so tell us about that. You went to school, you studied software engineer, and today you found your own company called like, you know, Sxth Degree, and it's a fashion. You design clothes. So, I mean, I don't even want to jump into, only you can sort of tell us how your parents feel about it, or what that experience has been like to study engineer and to have a completely
different,
opposite of what you're doing today.
So it's very interesting. So my mom was one of the women, like she's a strong single woman who raised my brother and I, right? And she always told us, you know, work and study and come first. Work your butt off. You know, make sure you get to where you need to be by working hard. So what we did was we went to school and we were doing, you know, as myself, computer science. So I did all that throughout college. And then when I finished, you know, I went to different companies and I'm still working for those companies. But on the side, I was like, you know what, there's always been a side of me that I loved art. And what I found out growing up, you know, is my mom also did that. Like she was also a seamstress. Her grandma taught her how to sew. So when I started doing it and started drawing and just, you know, kind of taking the step back from, you know, I'm doing all this computer science things, you know, I just want to design. I just want to tell my story. And this is my passion. She took it really well. You know, some parents are like, no, you got to do this. You got to do this. You can't leave your job. You got to do this. But she was, you know, very supportive. Says, you know, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it, but make sure you do it the right way. You still have that strong African mom who's like, if you're going to do it, you better do it well.
You better do 100%.
Put your best foot out there. So.
Right. Well, we just happy to hear that your mother was supportive of, like, you know, your dreams. Yeah. And which is most of the time is not like many households. Sometimes you get a pushback, but it definitely sounds like, you know, your heart is in this and this is your passions. So tell us a little bit about Sxth Degree as a company, and like what sort of like what's your inspiration behind it?
Wait, hold up, just right before that, can you talk a little bit more about your college experience? Like, you know, there's a little bit of a gap from, you know, I'm a software engineer. There's a different kind of grind, you know, having to have that experience and then jump into this industry of fashion. So within that, when did you know, like, oh yeah, you know, software engineer is going to pay the bills for now, but you know, my passion is fashion design. I know I can still make it there. Like, what was the transition? How was the college experience when you were like, yeah, let me just give this up and, you know, go towards fashion?
You know, like going to college, so, you know, going to St. Joe's University, I came there for soccer. So you're already coming from, you know, a different world than everyone else. When you think, oh, soccer players are always different. They're either dressed for European or, you know, they have their own different swag. So that was always me. I just did my own thing. And like, I just walked through school and I'm like, you know what, I'm just go to classes and I'm look so fly. I'm coming from practice at 6 a.m. or whatever, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to class. I'm not just going to wear sweats. I'm going to wear something nice. I'm going to make sure wherever I'm stopping, people are like, what's his story? What's his deal? You know, kind of like starting those conversations. That's how it started transitioning into the company, actually. So I started the company as a way to tell stories, to help people who, you know, are not usually the first people who speak out, you know, when they go to a party. You know, they're usually either by themselves or doing their own things. But how can you start that conversation with someone? Right. And now through me, it was through fashion. That's how I made most of my friends and most of my connections, you know, as I am today. So I said, you know what, if I can bring this in a space that is safe for everyone, right? How can you bring this to a space that's safe for everyone and provide them, you know, this portal of friendships and connections and stories, but also at the same time for them to feel safe. And that was fashion for me. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do that. And that's how I felt in college. I felt safe in my own threads. I felt like I belonged because I was wearing things that I wanted to wear, regardless of what anyone said, right? It made me feel good.
Right.
And I was like, I'm just gonna do it. And that's my culture, you know? So that's how that transitioned, actually.
That's dope.
That's very, because at the end of the day, like, how we dress does sort of like is a reflection of our values. It's a reflection of who we are. Yeah. And you know, in Africa, of course, you know, like you could just look at the type of shirt somebody wear already. That's their identity. Yeah. Right? And sometimes like that identity get blended in when we in the state. Why is it so important for you to have people kind of express themselves through fashion?
Well, I think, you know, like when you're a little kid, right? Remember there was that show, wasn't even a show, it was like Superman, right? We're seeing Clark Kent wearing the glasses, you know, day to day. He looks like everyone else, right? He goes into work, you know, he needs to go out, takes off his shirt, Superman. We all know that. We all know his Superman cape, right? That was him. And for me, it was that transition, like, you know what? How do people continue to tell their story, continue to feel safe and feel like they have their own superpowers in a sense, right? In a space, right? Like if you go to, you know, an African wedding or, you know, a Greek wedding, whatever it is, right? You will see their culture and what they're wearing. They're so proud of where they come from, right? It's all in that fit. It's all in that outfit, right? And fashion goes, you know, far beyond just clothing, right? It's also the way you carry yourself, because fashion is part of art, right? So all that is a combination of culture and, you know, art put together into clothing and fashion. If that answers it.
Right. No, it definitely does. And for me, I'm just more curious about this concept of the safe space.
Yeah.
Through like fashion, you keep naming like safe space, like talk to us about that. That's usually sometimes like we don't see when we look at fashion, right? We just look at it as the superficial aspect of it, the aesthetic aspect of it. But most people don't really see it as an expression of like someone trying to communicate this safe space, right? But expand on that a little bit.
So like, and this goes back to the, you know, coming to the States, you know, when I came here, you know, you are different. People already see you as different. And it's regarding, you know, the way you dress or the way you look or whatever it may be. But those differences, you know, once you meet people and you start connecting with them, they ease up, right? And that same thing, the way I dressed, that was something that helped me get those friends, helped me continue to grow, helped me continue to be where I am, even to, you know, make the connections that I've made today was all through those fashion. So to me, I translated it as fashion is safe for people, right? Because you can be, you know, you can wear whatever and someone can say, oh, that's cool, that's not cool. But there's always a group of people who will look towards you and say, I like that, right? It makes you feel good, right? Whether you're walking out of your house during the morning or you're going to work, whatever it is, someone compliments your shoes, someone compliments, you know, your handbag or something. It puts a smile in your face. Like you have a bad day. Someone's like, yo, I really like that jacket. Like, wow. I just had a hard day, but that comment just brought me up. So that's the safe. Like it becomes something more than just what you can see and attain. And, you know, of course, there's like fast fashion in the world and we can't control that. But there are certain aspects of fashion that steer away from consumerism where, you know, you buy something, you're like, I bought this not because of hype, not because of this. I bought this because I wanted to do that. And I guarantee you, everyone has a piece of clothing like that in your closet. You have one piece, two piece, whatever, that you bought it because you're like, I feel good in that. Not because of the price, not because of who's wearing it outside, but because it felt the best in your heart.
Right.
Safe.
Right. And it's so interesting that you say that, because I also see like fashion through your cultural experience or your cultural belief is also like an invitation for other people to get a little bit curious about who you are. Like it's almost like I'm inviting them to know who I am a little bit. And I have experienced this with Aki, where we've been in the space where we wear certain African attire. People like, you know, who are not from Africa, who will be like, I really like that outfit. Like, where did you get that outfit? And it give me an opportunity to just, first, they compliment me. You know what I mean? And the second, they're asking now questions. So give me an opportunity to be like, oh, I got this outfit from Guinea. I got this outfit from, not even from Guinea. I got this outfit from Nigeria. I got this outfit from Kenya. Or I got this outfit from Senegal. So I think it opened the doors to really tell your story and connect with that person. And in return, you also have an impact on that. But I have experienced this personally, so it speaks to the power of the work that you do.
It does, and that's one of the things. It's like, you know, it's following your curiosity, right? And I put that as a tag for my company, follow your curiosity, because it's not only you following your curiosity, but it's everyone else around you in the room who's following their curiosity. They see something that they've never seen before, right? You're either gonna sit back or it's gonna capture your mind. See, you see someone and it's, you know, a room full of everyone just wearing blues and blacks, and then you see that one color, you're like, I want to say something. I want to talk. I want to get to know that, because, you know, human curiosity has led to innovations to where we are today. Right? If human beings were not curious, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Right.
So that's one of the things, you know, I think fashion contributes to the world.
Right.
That it can contribute to the world.
Right, and then this is a good segue, right, to jump into your company, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of African design clothes companies out there. Talk to us about Sxth Degree and what makes Sxth Degree unique, and how do you even came up with that name?
Okay, so one thing, I'll start with the name. So I came up with the name Sxth Degree based off the 6 degrees of separation. So it's the theory that, you know, within every 6th person that you know or your friends know, there's a connection, right? So you may know that person and they know someone else that you know. So it's creating this whole community of people who know each other, right? So that's why I called it 6th Degree, because I wanted to put that connection. So if someone wears something, one of my clothings or whatever it may be, and someone sees it, like, oh, I really like that. They tell them about it. Someone sees it, oh, I saw this. And that creates a community of people who are wearing fashion, who like-minded thinkers, or who are just curious to what they do. What's different between, you know, my company and any other company that's out there, right? Everything that I make is handmade. So I sew everything myself, right? We create our own designs, we pattern the designs, and we take it from, you know, fabric to product, all by hand. So we're taking our time and we're doing it with our hand, because you're getting the best quality. We're not rushing through it.
Right.
You know, we're making sure that we're finishing your product from start to finish. It's a product made for you, and everything is made to order, right? So when you order it, right, because we don't keep stocks of anything. When you order it, that's when your story and your journey begins with us.
Wow.
So we're giving you that experience.
Wow. That's very impressive.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Toby?
Yeah, so there's one thing you mentioned. You said you basically were able to connect or get your friends through, you know, your clothing or what you wear.
Yeah.
A funny or interesting thing, you know, from the continent, like if you can see what somebody wears, you can tell what tribe or where they're from.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, the Kente cloth is very synonymous with Ghana.
Yeah.
And I think specifically the Ashanti tribe. I'm not from Ghana, you have to fact check that. So,
I think you might be correct.
something like that. But for you, you know, you're able to attract your tribe by what you wear, and it seems to be going really well for you. Was that, I'm not gonna say on purpose, but when did that really click with you? Like, how did that help you? Like, in what sense did you like, oh, this is going well for me, help me open doors, I'm assuming, and create friendships? Or is it just like, this is me, and, you know, people are just rocking with it?
There's always that aha moment. Let's see. I think it was my junior year at St. Joe's, and, you know, you go from class to training to this and that, right? You're just doing this and that. And then someone one day, I was at a party and someone's like, yo, you're the dude who dresses so well in class. I was like, I never met this guy. I don't even know who you are. I don't even know your name, but thank you. Like, I don't know who you are. So I just started talking to him. Talk for a little bit. And then me and him are now friends, like really close friends, like one of my closest friends, which is hilarious. He just pointed me on the party. You wore the nice clothes. I was like, oh, snap. So that was my aha moment in junior year. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And I always kept it in the back of my mind. Didn't know really what I was going to do with it, because I always wanted to, you know, help people create these connections, but I never knew how to do it. Wow. I never knew, like, okay, you know, where do I put my energy? Do I put it in, you know, soccer, art, you know, music? Like, what do I do? And then, you know, I found my median. And from then on, I just kept on going. I was like, wow, fabrics, all the different patterns. the way people respond to the colors, right? Like it's like the bucket hat, like you saw it, or you responded to it based on the patterns and the colors, right? It's doing something different to you than it would do for someone else.
Right.
Kind of like a painting. If you see a Picasso or, you know, Mona Lisa, the artist is never going to tell you how to, you know, represent it or how to react, right? It's your own reaction to it. It's your own response to it. So it's like that bucket hat because of this and that, or I like this because it reminds me of childhood, or it reminds me of something.
So let's just all put up like our business hat here.
Okay, let's put on.
I think we talked a lot about passion.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us just sit there. Sometimes we so passionate about something, but we don't know how to like monetize on it, or like you know, go from like being passionate about something to actually like turning it into a business. Right? So walk us through your process, and how do you go from like, you know,
passion to business?
Like, you know, being someone who just like to communicate who you are through fashion into like turning this into like a business.
All right, so you know, one of the things when you start, like that's hard, is actually keeping that momentum going, right? Because there are going to be days where you're like, I don't want to do this, or I don't have time to do this. But it's that reminder in the back of my mind, like, why are you doing it, right? So for me, I'm doing the fashion and everything else because I would wear the clothes that I'm making. Like, I'll never make anything that I'll never wear.
Right.
Or I would never preach and say, yo, you should go out and get my stuff if I'm not 100% behind it, right? So then it becomes that, you know, transition between, okay, so I'm taking my passion into a business. Now, how do I build a business plan? Who do I know in my corner and my, you know, my connections that can help me do that? And luckily for me, I had, you know, a really good friend of mine. He runs a company. His name is Ibun. His company is LBF. And he was one of the first people who, you know, kind of like mentored me into, all right, if you're looking to bring your passion into business, right? What are their steps, right? Asking me these hard questions, hard-hitting questions, like how many people are you looking to reach out? How much do you need to invest? You know, what's going to be your revenue? What happens when you grow big, right? Having people around you who are willing to, you know, take you from just a dream to a passion and continue to make sure that you're pushing forward. You're always going towards that. That's one mindset that can help. So that was a lucky thing for me. Not everyone has those people in their corners, but, you know, it just takes that first instinct to say, you know what, I have this idea and I'm making it a reality. Who do I know around me, or who can I start talking to? How can I start learning, right? One of the things that I started doing was also, you know, getting books about business, right? Listening to podcasts about business, right? How money talks, right? Making sure that you understand not only the business side of it, but also the investment side of it. Because the biggest thing about starting the business is you have to remember that you have to invest in yourself. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, how can anyone else invest in you? Right? Being confident, walking up to, you know, potential investors and saying, this is my story and this is what I'm pitching to you. And I've invested this much of myself, of my own money in my company because I believe in myself. And I believe that you will see that at the end of it. So,
wow. Thanks for sharing. You're dropping a lot of gems right now. Jake, it's an honor to have you on the show.
It's an
honestly,
honor,
especially like being in a young African entrepreneur, right? It's a very powerful thing because, and that's why we have this space. That's why we have this talk show to continue to give space to continue to, like, you know, shed light into a lot of African Black entrepreneurs out there, you know, who are doing a lot of great things like you. So shout out to you, man, brother, for keep doing what you're doing. We're gonna keep sort of asking you more questions, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on.
That's fine. I'm here for this.
Yeah. So one thing. So you did touch on, you know, this inkling for design and fashion and stuff like that. How was the transition? We didn't really touch on that. Did you just jump off the deep end, or how do you start to, you know, build this brand and company of yours?
So throughout my childhood, I would watch my mom make clothes or like alterate clothes or like make my aunts wedding dresses or the flower girls wedding dresses. So I was always looking at what she was doing, but never really interested because I had to do soccer or whatever. And I was like, whatever, I don't care. But then as I, grew into myself and started, identifying who I am and saying, you know what, this is what I'm gonna keep doing. I was able to draw. I always used to be able to draw. So I took one day a pen and paper. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this. And I just drew a jacket, a wild jacket, like asymmetric, like scarf, anything. I was like, Mom, I want to be able to make this. Can you show me how to do this? She was like, all right, well, these are the books that you need to read, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, okay. So I'm reading these fashion design books, how to cut, how to, build a pattern. And it's tough, but it was that transition of knowing, I still had the brain on the side where it's like the software engineer side, where there's a lot of math, there's a lot of measuring and everything. And I was using that towards the fashion design side, and I'm like, okay, I'm making a pattern. Okay, I know this angle has to be this way. This angle has to be this way. Calculating all those things. So I'm using both parts of my brain at the moment, and then there's that art side of me that I get it from my mom, as I always say, right? And that part was where I was like, okay, I have this pattern. Now the art side of it, that's seeing the colors, that's seeing the transitions of the things, and that was something that is a testament to my mom and my grandma, because they both had it and passed down from her to my mom and then to me. It's something that I'm grateful for until today. So
got you. Do you remember the first piece of fabric or clothes that you put together?
Yeah.
How's that process?
I do. Oh man, I stayed up so I did it. It was like a whole day. So I started out with just a simple jacket, and it was like no collar, nothing, and I was just cutting through and I made some mistakes. I sewed an armhole to like the chest, and I was like, what the heck is going on? My mom was like, you need to relax. Like, take a deep breath, just break it down, visualize it first. Like, before you even put anything together, visualize it together. Like, cut the patterns, now see it in your head, and just visualize the pieces together. What does this look like if it? So it becomes like a puzzle piece, and that's where it's like, the math side. I'm like, okay, I'm making puzzles, geometry pieces. Okay, this piece goes with this. This piece can't fit here because the angle's too big. Okay, let me move this back. So it took me like 12 hours to make my first jacket. Yeah, and I actually sold it 2 years ago at the art show.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it was this like black and white, like a off black and white color thing, like jacket with like all white and black. So and it was a proud moment. I was like, whew.
If you don't mind me, how much you sold it for?
How much did I sell it for? I sold it for $250.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
$250.
That's. I'm not saying like numbers matter, but if somebody's willing to pay that much money into what you're designing, it's just a reflection of like how much they really want it.
Yeah.
How good it is.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It was, to me, I just did it as I like the colors. I want to put it together, and I've never seen a jacket that's black. One side is black and then one side is white, but it has the same patterns. It's just flipping the pattern itself. So now it looks like it's a different jacket cut from but it's the same jacket. So it just had that like eye to it.
Right.
I was like,
so what was that moment like for you? How do you felt in that moment when you put so much effort and work into just this one product item that someone was able to pay like over $200 for it? How did that make you?
Oh, it was like a breath of fresh air, because you think to yourself, am I ever going to make it? Because there's always doubt in your mind. Am I going to make it? Am I going to do it? Like, I'm not going to sell enough. And there are days where, you think to yourself, oh, no one's going to buy anything. No one's going to do this. But it's just staying true to what you're doing, staying true to, your own mission statement. Like, you got to believe it.
Right.
And that feeling, the first feeling of, making that first sale, like, that's uncomparable. Like, I can't compare that feeling. It's like winning, when you're little and you played, I don't know if you played soccer or anything, or football.
Oh, yeah, I played soccer.
We call it football.
I was not that good, man. but I played American football.
Okay.
But yeah, my family in Guinea, of course, soccer is a big, big thing. So I did sort of, my brothers played, so I know a little bit about soccer, yeah.
So it's kind of like that first goal you score, or, that first touchdown that won to keep the championship or whatever, that feeling. It's just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So.
I could tell. Me being an athlete personally, like I know that feeling.
Yeah.
So
all that hard work.
Right. So you design so let's talk about like the type of design that you have.
Yeah.
I took some time to actually look through your Instagram page and your company's page. I was just really impressed by the design. So I noticed you have your own jackets or like shirts, but tell us about like, you know, what sort of like your area of focus when it comes to fashion, or like, and then what's your next step?
So I guess one of the things I try to avoid is putting myself in like a corner, like, oh, I only design this or I only do this. So what I started first was doing the jackets, because jackets, everyone wears a jacket, right? You can do a jacket for men, women, everyone wears it. So that was like, you know, that was my goal. I was like, I'm going to do a jacket.
Right.
And then I slowly transitioned to, you know, overalls, because everyone loves overalls.
Except in Florida, man.
Exactly.
Nobody gonna buy you a jacket in Florida. It's not. They actually don't wear the clothes over there. So
but it's true. But you know, so I had to, like you said, like doing the jackets in the fall and the winter, like was a big thing. It's like everyone wears jackets in the winter and fall, except in Florida. But you know, now you do the overalls. So now you're like, okay, people who don't just wear jackets, people who want something in the summer, something in the spring, like something light and fun. Let me do that. And then I was like, you know what? I can add bucket hats to it. So I was like, now I'm just expanding, you know, my reach. I'm saying, you know, I have this skill to, you know, design a jacket, to design overalls, to design bucket hats, you know, and, you know, the next drop would be, you know, this is a once in a lifetime thing that I never do, but, you know, I'm going to do a blazer, like blazers that are coming out in the fall, which will be all on the site and everything. So those are the things that, you know, I'm always pushing myself to grow. Okay. So it's not just one thing. So that's how I'm taking the fashion, taking every day. So every time I do a different product, to see, all right, I did it. Do people like it? If they do, it stays. If they don't, whatever. I gave it a try.
Absolutely.
And if they don't, but I haven't ran into, you know.
Well, Jake, I mean, I'm super excited about the jacket swag.
Yeah.
What's the jacket? Come on, send it my way. Because I love jacket, man.
What kind of jackets you rock?
You know, anything kind of semi-professional. Okay. You know, because you know, I sometimes, you know, I love to dress professionally sometimes. Yeah, I got you. I'm kind of like want to shift into like wearing African design jackets, you know, for like formal wear, anything like that. Yeah. So if you designing anything like that, please send them.
Oh yeah, you know me. I already have things in the works for that.
Toby's into hats, right? Or no?
I'm not sure. I guess I am.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Oh yeah. So one thing that you did mention, you know, with, you know, selling your first piece of clothing, there's always that fear as, you know, am I gonna make it? You know, is somebody just gonna walk up to me and be like, that's trash? Or, you know, that fear of rejection and stuff like that. It's always, for an entrepreneur, designer, artist, there's always that fear, hey, this is it, and then you know we're going. But then when you were talking more about your website, it sounded like that kind of fear subsided. You don't really have that kind of fear anymore. How were you able to overcome that and be more confident on the brand you have grown and the things that you designed?
You know, after the first few sales that I had, it was the customer's response. So I didn't even put, you know, like a review page on my website. You know, I want everyone to just have their own thoughts, whatever. If you want to thank me, you reach out, right? But I received feedback from the customers, and they reached out to me personally on email or, you know, via the company phone. And they're like, I really love it. You know, this is great. This is whatever. And that took away my fear of I'm not doing the right thing. That made me feel like, you know what? I started this as a way to connect with, to make people feel different, to make people come out of their shells, to make people, you know, just enjoy being in their own little space. And that, like, all the fear just subsided after that. Just like, you know what? I came in doing something, and it's continued to grow. And, you know, it can be 100 jackets a month, or, you know, 50 or 20 or whatever, but the impact that it makes to someone is more valuable, and it just overcomes that fear of failure in my mind. It's something that, you're putting things out there that's changing lives. That it's like, I don't know, the biggest deterrent to success and, to growth to humans is fear, right? What causes that fear? And most of the time it's our own, backlash or our own personal experience, right? You're just always doubting yourself.
Right.
So when you have people who are saying, "Oh, I really love this," or this and that, it just eases it. So that's I always remember that one customer who says, she came up to me and she said, my dad left me money for, this and that, and her dad had passed away. And she said, I've been looking for something to spend on the money that he gave me. He told me to go out and buy myself something nice. He told me to do this and that. And this jacket is exactly what I've been looking for. And this was at a small craft show in Rancocas Woods, New Jersey, right? You just never expect that. And I would just remember that. And it always stuck in my head, the money that her dad gave, this was her dad's wish. And she decided to buy one of my jackets. Wow. I've only made 2 of those jackets. Wow. Because of her. I was like, no, I'm going to do yours. Only 2, only one of 2, right? Right. I have the other one, she has the other one. And I was just like, this is something that I need to continue doing, regardless of what happens. I'm going to keep doing this.
Right. So for me, it's your product is handmade. It's the process. So there's a sort of longer process here before someone get the finished product. Yeah. And sometimes that could impact the growth of the business. Yeah. Do you intend to keep this as a small, similar to a small business, or do you intend this to be to grow? Do you intend to have your design clothes in certain companies H&M or Zara, or do you just want to keep it small?
So one of the growth is good, but what I want to steer away from is going into commercial companies, right? Working for the H&Ms, working for the Zara's, whatever, right? I want to keep it small and true to its name, right? To build communities around, right? Those companies are big, and if they reach out and say, "Oh, we want you to design this and that," right? I would design something for them, but I wouldn't take my company and add it to them or sell it to them by in 2 or 3 years, add a few more people, 2 or 3 other seamsters who can sew, right? So keep it small, but keep it true to what it is. So keep it authentic. Okay, that's what I want to do.
Wow, that's sometimes that's tough. Yeah, because it's all about the money. You know what I mean? Opportunity come, and you were making $1,000 per products, and now somebody's coming to offer you $1 million. So you
I know.
And so I'm just curious.
That's where you either sink or swim. It's do you take the bait, or do you stick true to yourself? Money is great. We live in an economy that's very money based, right? It's something that can entice you from living your dreams to struggling from day to day. But it's just one of those things that my grandma, when she did it, she didn't do it as a whole corporation. My mom, when she did it, she didn't do it as a whole corporation. What I wanted to do was bring this something, right, from my family to the world, right, or to the communities, whatever it is. Ensure that, and by sharing this, we continue to grow and grow and grow. So by other people wearing it, they're saying they're giving this and that, right? One of our biggest things now that we have are wedding orders. Friends or friends of friends or families, they're asking us, "Oh, would you be able to design this and that for my wedding?" People still want that, right? Because there's not many people out there who can sew. There's not many people who can tailor. But I guarantee you that if you're going to a wedding, like you said, you want an African outfit for when you go to these things, right? You've already put in that in your mind. Now you're thinking, "Oh, I really want this. Oh, this person does this. This person customizes. Okay, they're taking their time. All right, let me support this. Let me see how it goes." So you're just going to follow that curiosity. So that's where our growth will come from.
Well, I love your concept of creating your own community here. because sometimes most of us don't think that way. We don't really think about the power of the community.
Exactly.
We don't really think about like investing in your community. It's gonna really set you up for success in the long term, you know. And most of the time, like the fashion industry is so saturated.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, I don't even know. It's like a hair industry.
Yeah.
Like, you know, sometimes you're thinking about like, how do I even stand out?
Yeah.
So, but I'm just curious and really kind of impressed with your way of going about it. So I'm curious to see like where you know, since we end up in like a couple of years right now. But I definitely feel like you are kind of on the right path here.
Yeah.
You know, because it's always about that community. So a lot of the material and inspiration, is it from Kenya? And then the material, is it like all the inspiration based in Kenya? Or
so most of the material actually, they're all from all different places, right? So, you know, for my fall jacket, that material and those patterns come from, you know, the southeast side of the United States. So, you know, where you have the mountains or, you know, those spots. And then for my summer stuff, you know, it's more in the north, or it's actually more in the west with California, and like the bright colors like that, right? So it's all these places that I have visited, right? Because I'm telling my story. And I'm trying to share it with the world because everyone has been to those places. So it's the people that I've made, these connections that I've made, that have inspired me to keep something from that area.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's why.
You're not just limiting your design to like African print.
No.
So okay.
So I'm giving people, you know, because it's, you know, I came from Africa, came to the US, you know, have friends in Europe, spend a lot of time in Europe as well.
Right.
So it's all these different cultures coming together.
Right.
And wherever I meet, whether it's the US, you know, people who I know from Spain, from Mexico, you know, from other parts of South America, wherever it may be, those parts are all within my thing. They're telling a story. Each part tells a story.
Wow. So you really trying to bridge the gap here.
Yeah.
Trying to be the bridge. That's good. That's interesting. So you're not trying to be like Burna Boy.
No.
You know, he somehow he figured out a way to be huge and have the world listening to his music, because a lot of his lyrics,
no one understands.
It's not nobody understands, but like
but it's
somehow it resonates.
It still resonates with everyone.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Yeah, man. So again, Jake, we appreciate you for sharing your experience with us, your story with us. It's just very powerful story. And I'm learning a lot about fashions.
Yeah.
And you know, I personally like to wear African print clothes, but listening to your stories just really made me appreciate it. What I'm wearing more, because there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
You know, and Toby wants to go ahead and ask more questions. We're gonna keep grilling you, brother, because there's just so much that we want to make sure that we put out there for our viewers.
That's fine. And like going off what you said, right? With the whole, you know, am I just doing things based on Africa or US, you know? Because most of the things that I have now, you'll see certain aspects of African style within even the styles that you see in, you know, South American styles, or my winter jackets, right? Because we all came from a basin, a cradle of life.
Right.
Life started in Africa. Whether you want to dispute that or not, you know, I'm not one to dispute it, but that's where it started.
Right.
So it's branching off from here. That's where it started, and going out to the world.
Right. You know, it's just so interesting to me, because when you look at Africa and you look at it like an African design, like a lot of fashion design, it's like get their inspiration from the African culture, from the African like roots and stuff like that. Yeah. But sometimes that story is missing.
Yeah.
You know, once they come to the West, it just becomes commercialized. Like I walk into like H&M and I'm seeing some design.
Yep.
I'm like,
there's no collar shirts.
Yeah, no,
the
this
long
is
one.
African like inspired, but it made me some sense of where I'm like, so who's designing this? Like, you know, it's like is Africa getting some sort of return from this? It's not. So this is this constant exploitation of the culture and the product. And for me, it's very important to continue to push the narrative. You know, change this narrative about all the contribution of the diasporas out there, and like you, who's just really doing things that is truly inspirational and powerful. So all I'm gonna say, like, thank you, Jake. Keep doing
you don't have to thank me.
Yeah, I saw some of your stuff. I'm like, I can't wait to talk to you and get me some of that jacket.
You know, like I said, there's always something for everyone in my shop. So whatever it is, even if you want something custom, we do that as well.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Right. And do you have like a traditional?
Like what do you mean by tradition?
Like a traditional shop, or like do you just now you just all like remote or online?
So everything is online, but if you want, custom made clothing, you want me to fit you and everything else, I do have a studio that I have all my stuff in a factory. So I have all that. So I have all that set up where you come in and it's set up as a custom tailor shop. Where you come in, I take your measurements, you sit down, have a drink, whatever it is, we talk about the colors that you want, the story that you want to tell. And, one of the questions I always ask, like for one of the clients that I've had was, why are you picking this color? What does this color mean to you? Right. And how can I help you tell that story? So I want to know someone's story, and I want to put that in whatever they're wearing, because you want them to like it. You don't want them to wear something once and they're like, all right, I'm done with this. You want them like, I wore this and I picked this because this is me. This is who I am. So
absolutely.
So we have that as well.
I think this might be my final question. Just, I guess I'm not the life of an ambitious person, or maybe just people in general. Every time you reach a certain level of success, there's some fear trying to get there. But once you get there, that particular fear is gone. But now there's a new hurdle or a new thing you need to overcome. And in terms of where you are now, what's like some of your biggest, fear, or the biggest hurdles you have to make in order to get to that next level? And I guess the prequel to this question will be like, what is your next vision or the next level?
So one of the, I guess we can put fear in quotations, is, am I doing enough? Am I showing enough people my stuff? So now I'm either overbooking myself for like events, or like doing so many different things that, because now I'm gonna feel like, oh, not so many people are seeing it. I have all these people seeing it, but I want more people to see it, right? So now you become hungry about that, and it's like, oh, if they don't see it, how do I get them to see it? So that becomes, that's what is driving me right now. Because I want people to see it. I want people to know about it. I want people to be driven about it. So that's what it is. And then your second question was?
I guess what's the next stage or your next vision for the company?
Next stage. Right now, it's just, getting it out there. I'm taking it, with the 30-day plan, or whatever you may call it, getting it out there. And, the next thing is being able to now produce for people who are internationally, being able to say, okay, you want something, we can fulfill your order in this time, and then having additional, seamstress around. So that's the next thing. Or, getting a bigger factory, getting a bigger space than where I am. That's where I want to be, where it's like, now I'm not just doing 200 orders or, 200 orders a month. It's more like we're doing, 1,500 and more orders. So that's where I want to be. I want to be able to, now produce for more and more people other than just the community, but still sticking true to where the roots come from, to the community, and saying, you know what, we are producing for this many people, but we're still this small company that is staying true to its values, to its communities, and to its stories. We're still going to share these stories with this many people, and not forgetting where we came from, because it's, that African background where you mentioned community strong, and that's where my African culture comes into play, where it's like, your mother's always told you, the community, it takes the community to raise a child. It takes the community to raise a child. So it's that, response and action towards yourself and towards everyone around that's saying, you know what, the community, staying true to the community. They brought me to where I am. I'm not gonna forget my community.
Right.
I have to remember my community because I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for them.
Right.
If it wasn't for those little interactions with that community.
Right.
Now that I'm here.
Right.
So.
And then you really translating those values and belief into action right now through what you do. So Jake, we getting close to the home stretch here. So, again, we're just gonna close it out. But before we do that, Toby, of course, Toby's from Nigeria. He's from Nigeria, so I'm from Guinea. So, well, as someone from Kenya, so I just wanted to ask this. There's a lot of dispute. Sometimes it could turn into altercations. Hopefully, it doesn't get to that point. Which country do you believe has the best jollof rice? I'm sure. I'm sure
man,
you're involved into this. But we're talking about Ghana jollof, Nigerian jollof, Liberian jollof, and you often hear about this, but Senegalese also make jollof. So
they do.
I'm not sure, but we are curious to hear your response.
To hear my response.
Yeah, do not get influenced by.
So, I have a lot of Ghanaian friends and a lot of Nigerian friends. Actually, friends from Senegal. Man, I'm gonna say it. Have you tried it? I don't know if you've tried it.
Listen, man, I was just asking a question. This is your answer.
All right. Well, Nigerian jollof is
all right. Nigerian jollof it is. Nigerian jollof it is.
But I'll say this: Senegalese chicken is the best in the world.
All right. Well, there goes. I guess Naja won today. So we'll continue to really get some feedback from this as we continue to go down this road with the talk show. Well, thank you for your response, though. We appreciate that. And lastly, like I said, was there anything that you want to share with us that we didn't talk about or we didn't ask?
No.
Our viewers?
No, I think you guys covered everything. And one thing I'd say is what you guys are doing is great for, the up and coming designers or, the up and coming artists or wherever they may be, whatever their stance is, having a space where they can be themselves, talk, and also provide the audience another, view than just what they see on Instagram. Because you don't see this on Instagram. You don't hear from the people who, you're buying the music from, you're buying the clothing from. So it gives the viewers another view and adds on more to those stories. So I think what you guys are doing with your podcast and, opening a space to share these stories is something that is great and will continue to benefit artists like myself in the long run. And it's...
well, absolutely. Thank you, Jake, for that. I know you talked a lot about your mom. Is there anybody in the talk show you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, my little brother actually.
Oh, okay.
Garrett. Yeah.
Nice.
He just turned 26 a week ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's
up there, huh?
He's up there. He's not my little brother anymore.
He ain't your little brother, but he still got a little time.
But
he still got time though. All right, this is gonna be my last questions. If you could just close it out with a little bit of word of wisdom. If you have the 10-year-old version of Jake sitting in front of you right now, given everything that you've known to where what would you say to him?
10-year-old version, easy. I'd say keep on dreaming. Keep dreaming those dreams, and however big they are, keep doing it.
It's good.
No matter how ridiculous your dream is, you put your mind to it. Anything's possible.
Wow, powerful.
Just keep on dreaming.
It's great. Well, Jake, from Sxth Degree, thank you for joining us today. If people want to know about your company or wants to order your products, where would you like to? Where can they go to get some information?
So we sell products on Instagram as well. So we have the Instagram shop. So at Sxth Degree, that's Sxth without an I. You can also go to www.sxthdegree.com, and that's the website, and you'll find all our products there as well. So, if anyone has custom ideas or they want something custom made, they can send us an email as well on the website, and it's at sxthdegree@gmail.com.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, folks. Well, That's it. Thanks for joining us today. Once again, if you love hearing about our podcast, just, word of mouth is very powerful. Go onto our YouTube page. We're on Spotify, Apple, and just continue to subscribe.